What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and the internet is losing its proverbial mind over the many microtransaction options Ubisoft has put in the Ghost Recon Breakpoint game, which released today, to high-end purchasers and the rest of the plebs a little bit later. Now, I want to take a look at this situation and decide and show you why maybe some of this anger is warranted, but of course some of it is always going to be unwarranted. Guys like Jim Sterling, his shtick is always railing on developers for just about any microtransactions. Me, on the other hand, I've always kind of had, or I've tried to maintain, the cosmetics only type of pass. While I admit that the many things that you can purchase in Ghost Recon is at a new level, at a level in which you might expect in a free-to-play game, I only have a problem with a few of them. Now, the ones that I do have a problem with, I am strongly against, like skill points, for example. But let's take a look at some of what you can purchase and some of what video game internet has had to say about it. This is according to Paul Tassi, which generally writes decent articles for Forbes. Ubisoft is not releasing Assassin's Creed this fall, so big holiday release is going to be Ghost Recon Breakpoint. An evolution to Wildlands idea into something more Ghost Recon-y, for lack of a better term. I've heard some fairly mixed things about gameplay so far. Some like it and others are finding it terribly dull. Though I haven't had much time to play it myself, yet I can't judge it one way or another. But players trying it out now are starting to snap screenshots of what is frankly a comical amount of microtransactions jammed into the game. Ones that go past cosmetics and straight up into selling gear outright. Granted, recent Assassin's Creeds have done that same option to some extent, but the sheer amount of variety of stuff here is something to behold. Fair. I think this is a fair criticism, and it's a fair thing to meme on Ubisoft for, but still the overwhelming majority of these items are cosmetics. Now, the sheer amount of them is concerning because, well, quite frankly, there are many things in this game that are still broken, and if they had spent a little more time on the game, a little less time on all these microtransactions, maybe we'd have a more polished product. Now, of course, many people are pointing to a Reddit thread of the Ghost Recon Ultimate Edition, which has various screenshots of different things that you can buy, bundles that contain weapons, bundles that contain blueprints to make weapons, bundles for attachments, individual attachments for weapons, cosmetic shirts, armor, backpacks, tattoos, and emotes, melee weapons, gear, camo, and paint, skill points. This one's pretty crummy, I think. Weapon upgrades, battle point boosters, and reward tiers for some sort of battle pass system. Now, this is a game that has a battle pass system already. So you've got the game for 60 bucks. Then you can buy the battle pass, what's that, another 40 bucks. Then you can buy just about anything in the game. Now, the problem is we never really know how grindy they've made the game to help force us, to help entice us to make these microtransaction purchases. This is always the gray area that makes me uncomfortable. I used to just say, look, if they're cosmetic only, fine, who cares? And I have to stand by that. I truly do. I don't think making fun of the game for having a bunch of cosmetic-only microtransactions is reasonable. Let them have as many as they want, as long as the game runs good, runs right, and people like the game. The problem I have are with these time savers and skill points, because these are things that are normally earned in the game. Would I call it pay to win? No, I don't think it's pay to win. It's pay to play faster, is what I think. If you keep scrolling, there's just more and more and more stuff in the store. While it's possible to grind out some of this in the game, most of all is being sold outright in the game's IRL cash currency. Ubisoft's philosophy appears to be that if the game is only PvE, then there really should be no restrictions at all to selling power outright to players who want to purchase it. Unpopular opinion? I agree. I never had a problem with people selling leveled up characters in World of Warcraft. I don't have a problem. Yes, the mounts are ridiculous, but I don't care. Don't buy them. They're cosmetic only. And you can laugh at the absurdity of the pricing. I think that's a fair argument. And a lot of the items here in Breakpoint are ridiculously priced. But if they're cosmetic only, who cares? Especially in the time savers. Now, the problem is with the time savers, except in the case of time savers. The problem with time savers is we don't know how much extra grind Ubisoft puts into the game to entice not only whales, but people on the middle, right? people, let's say they've done the math, which we know that they have, that they could make the game 5% more grindy and sell 10% more time helpers, time tiers, or whatever they call them. That means 100% of the people that don't buy them have to suffer under this new hypothetical extra grindy system. This is something that we've long suspected in Assassin's Creed type games and is something that we can never really know, but we can always be wary of. So if people want to flat out buy weapons attachments and literally skill points, sell it to them, but some of these packaged as, quote, time savers, though reportedly you could take these items straight into the game's PvP mode as well. That's an issue too, because you can have an unfair advantage, I think, if you're able to purchase these weapons on day one. It gets messy. That's all well and good in theory. When you start selling all this in-game gear, players start to wonder how much grind has... Exactly, Paul and I agree on this point. How much the grind has been increased to try and herd people into the save time by choosing to buy things outright instead. For instance, in the game without this kind of microtransaction in store, maybe it takes 5 hours to earn 10 skill points. In a game where the publisher has a motivation to sell skill points, maybe it takes 10 hours. We can't prove that, and Lord knows no one would ever admit to it, but that's constantly the question in players' mind. Fundamentally, it's just a bad look and goes to show how microtransactions can still feel gross, even if loot boxes are nowhere to be found. This is too much, and even if Ubisoft is heavily relying on Breakpoint this fall for revenue, the sheer scope of this store feels like overkill. I think that's reasonable. You know, you have a year one roadmap, obviously, going all the way into September 2020 with all sorts of new content. I don't like games like this. I get bored of games. I know some of you like to play games like this for like a full year. I kind of beat the main story and I have very little interest in going back. I actually like the old style of an expansion pack. You know, Far Cry New Dawn came out. I fired it up. I played it. I finished that. I moved on with my life. I feel very little motivation to get back into the game constantly and play it. I just want to move on to play a different game. But when you can buy these levels of in-game currency, you can spend real in-game currency on the free in-game currency. You could buy weapons, skins, and all these other things. You start to wonder if they've been enticed to make the grind more. Now, unfortunately, we live in a world where we'll never really know. And you can look at all these screenshots. Here are the bundles with weapons in it. You can have all sorts of Panther starter kit blueprints so you can craft the weapons. Snipers, ARs, all sorts of LMGs, things like that. All of these I don't have a necessary problem with. The time savers I do. Selling skill points is a real concern to me because it feels like they're going to be artificially incentivized to make the game more grindy. We'll never know that, but this is pretty spicy, I think. This is a bridge too far. But most of the other stuff people are upset about, all the various cosmetics, is it look greedy? Does it look greedy and scummy? Yes. Do I care? Not one bit. I really don't care. As long as they're cosmetic only or you're buying them for PvE, you look greedy. Surprise. Nobody was surprised by the fact that Ubisoft is greedy. What's more hilarious is websites like Kotaku are still offended by the game. Have you read this? Ghost Recon Breakpoint is here. Or is it hiding in a bush over there? And you know if Heather Alexandria is writing it, you know it's going to be trash. I've played 5 hours of Breakpoint today, walking up, diving right into the action. On one hand, it's a surprisingly chewable and chill action game. On the other, I feel like I've been there before. Breakpoint isn't a game out to shatter the mold. Instead, it wants to slide comfortably into it. That's great if you're looking for the same tactical action that you've played in a military-type game before, but you've basically played Breakpoint. No amount of user interface overhauls, big-name actors can change that. I'm in it for the long haul, but some initial thoughts. Starts with, okay, the bar is admittedly low here, but in 2017, Ghost Recon's Wildlands had some serious problems with its setting and the villains. Set in Bolivia, and focus on Mexican cartel that somehow took over the country and transformed it into a narco state. It was sleazy, and we didn't like it, with caricature Mexican gangsters traipsing around Bolivia. It wasn't much like Bolivia at all, and it was so bad that the country of Bolivia filed a complaint to the French embassy. Nobody cares that your feelings were hurt, Bolivia. Sorry, not sorry. Breakpoint opts for a fictional setting in the island of Aurora, which has been taken over by former Ghost operative Cole Walker, portrayed by John Bernthal. It's sort of a tech libertarian paradise where a company working on automation, and drone technology was eventually seized by Walker and his cohorts. It's generic, but I'll certainly take that over the show that was around Wildlands. That's fair. I don't mind when games... I mean, there's really no need to have... We saw this basically with Kojima's title coming up, Death Stranding. He's got it kind of in this fictional land. There's no point to really set it in a particular state, although we saw it with Far Cry 5 in Montana. I don't know. If you live in the area, it does kind of add a little to it because, hey, I've been there before, or hey, I know what Montana's like. Hey, this looks like Montana. Hey, it doesn't. But, you know, Kotaku's still offended by it. Ultimately, the game will stand on its own, whether or not the game is good. These type of microtransactions start to make the game look a lot more like it is a free-to-play game, which is sad because you can spend up to $100+ on your version. You see the original thread that started it all. As I have the Ultimate Edition, I'm able to access the game right now. I've taken several screenshots of the store. Most cosmetic items are bought with Ghost Coins. That's the in-game currency. Figures such as wolves and individual armor pierces are only purchasable with Ghost Coins. Now, this is the premium currency. And this makes me mad. In the closed betas, the items are misleadingly labeled locked to make sure nobody will have a bad impression. They can grind armor pieces in the game. Items are so overpriced. A single cosmetic item costs an average of $6. Camos such as multicam are only found in Gollum Island, basically the endgame raid island. This is despicable. Now, here's the thing. We agree. $6 for skin is dumb. Ubisoft, why not price it at $1 so everyone could get it? This is the same argument I have all the time with these overpriced microtransactions with games like Apex Legends. But apparently they've done the math and they realize that they make more money targeting the 5% of people that just never care and just buy whatever they can to buy it and then making it widely available. I would rather they make these things widely available. I obviously have issues with the possible grind that this game might lead in that we'll never really know about because now you can buy the in-game currency with the premium currency. So you're incentivized now, okay, I can buy more in-game currency, so I can buy more customizations. Ultimately, this game will be a money pit for that 5% of people that really want decked out characters, really want all that bling for the multiplayer. But I feel like, you know what, as long as it's earnable in-game and we can't prove otherwise, the best we can do is to continue to remind people to be suspicious of these, quote, time saver microtransactions because you never really know what they're going to do to the grind. And because it's Ubisoft, we can be suspicious of it, I think, fairly. But the rest is all cosmetic. It's hilarious. It's comical. It's clown world. But it's got to be fine because it's cosmetics only. And this is the agreement we've made, even if Ubisoft is going to turn the dial up to 11 and break it off. Good luck, Ubisoft, with your customer base. Hope the game is good, because at the end of the day, if the game is great, no one's going to care about this. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video, and I really hope you enjoyed it. Above, you'll find some links to watch more videos, as well as a nice big button to subscribe, which I hope you'll do. If you did enjoy it, make sure before you go that you leave a like and a comment on the video, because you are the #1 reason this channel continues to grow, and I appreciate you.